Hello there, this is my little story of my Eachine Blackwing. I'm going to show you the setup I'm using. I've gone a bit overboard. For anyone that thought I was joking, I have fitted mine with a Propdrive. Oh, here's the focus. There you go. Propdrive 2836 3000 kV motor, and so this thing's going to be a bit quick. I'll show you the setup I've got in there as well. I'm using a Hyperion 35C 2200 milliamp 4 cell. In here I have a Turnigy AE65 Amp ESC, and I'm just using one of my FrSky little V8R4 receivers, and I've got that battery held in with Velcro, just one strip there. I've just got a block of EPP foam, and make it very tight. I can squeeze that in there, and then that battery doesn't move. It's pressed up against the ESC. Probably not a good thing, but it's that battery isn't going anywhere. Because the battery is quite a lot deeper, as you can see there. Basically it's the thinnest 2200 milliamp 4 cell I've got, so I have had to do a bit of carving out to get that to go in, so it's very thin there. Actually gone through in a couple of little spots. Also the ESC stands proud as well, so that's why I've had to carve this bit out. And it's a bit of experimenting, because at first I had the ESC mounted at the back, but I needed to get the CG further forward, so I've had to move the ESC right forward. So that's the basic setup there. Servos I'm using where's the box? Here we are. Emax. What was it? The ES08DE. So they're the digital ones. And they've got up to 2 kilograms of torque at 6 volts, and they weigh 8.5 grams. So that's the servos I'm using in there. I've got the little plastic cover just taped on at the moment, because I know it's a bit thin there, but if I reinforce the inside, there is a bit of ply that you can stick in. I do have a Mobius camera, so I could fit the Mobius in there if I wanted. At some point. It's not going to be an FPV wing, but I could fit a Mobius in there just to get some aerial footage, so I've just got the little cover taped on with some black tape at the moment. So I could fit the Mobius in there. A little tip here to anyone building this. Yeah, like I said, I'm not doing FPV, so I've just got that centre section glued on. I've got the magnets on this. There's no camera in there, but at least it gives me a nice little cooling hole. Yeah, a little tip with the magnets. I found, well, I've heard about the canopy popping off, but basically the holes for the magnets are way deeper than they need to be. So if you just push the magnets in, glue them in, by the time you've got it together, the magnets aren't going to be touching, so the canopy basically won't be held on by the magnets. It won't be held on very well. So basically what you want to do is make sure when you glue the magnets in, you've got them standing slightly proud of the surface there. So you can see they're sitting slightly above, because also if you look, these little dimple bits, these little bits as well, they're sitting slightly up as well, so that's going to hold this up and keep the magnets away from touching. So yeah, when you glue them in, make sure they're sitting slightly proud of the surface, and then when you've got the hatch on, the magnets will be touching and it will work a lot better. Yeah, it's supplied with me with magnets for this as well, but I'm not using them, so I've put an extra one at the front. So I've got the main 4 plus the extra one at the front, so it'll be a bit more safer holding that on. I've also made a little bit here. Basically this is a bit of carbon fibre rod. It's a solid rod. It looks a bit messier. I've glued that in, so it's quite far in, all the way across up there, and that's glued in solid. And then I cut the this part of it out, and then what I've got is a bit of carbon fibre tube. So this is a 4mm carbon fibre rod. I've got a bit of 5mm carbon fibre tube, and basically it's only about that long, but I've cut it lengthways in 2 positions, so it's like a C. It's like a C shaped, and then glued that in there, and it's not all the way across, it's like a C shape like that. So yeah, you hear that? That's the magnets touching. So basically when that goes to here, it clicks in. So it clicks into the little the carbon fibre tube bit. So that's all in there nice and solid now. So you can see as that's clipped in, so that's a lot safer. And then when that's closed, you can't really grip that. There's not enough there to grip. So it's like a double function. So where that's clipped in there's a bit of an overhang, so when you want to get it off, you just go clip like that, and it will just clip out. So clip in and out. There you go, you heard it there. Nice little clip sound. So that's how that's clipped in, which I hopefully will make that hatch a lot more secure. I will say with the push rods and control horns supplied, I did not use them. Obviously with the motor I'm running in this, it's going to be quite a bit quicker, and although these are perfectly adequate in strength wise for a reasonably normal setup, there is another problem, is depending on which way round you have them, the little clevises supplied, the rod that goes across the clevis is way too big for the holes. So basically you've got a lot of slop. Also, for the servos I was using, these weren't long enough. So basically you had to wind it out to where there was hardly any thread in there. It's only into about that far, so there's hardly any thread holding it, to where it was long enough. So they weren't long enough for me. Yeah, you see these push rods. So I put the camera on a stand. You see these push rods? They move around like that, you see. There's just too much slop in there. You know how much that moves. And even the if you have it the other way around, with the rod going through the control horn. Oh, let me just get this focused. Yeah, that still moves about, look. And it's too loose, so it's going to be moving about. Too much slop, and yeah, it's not acceptable to me. They're perfectly good for some other model, the horns, as long as the push rods you're using are the right thickness for the holes. Otherwise, don't use them because there's just too much movement. Right, yeah, I was hoping to maiden this today, but I've actually been doing so many modifications to this. I've basically run out of time to get down the field. I mean, it takes half an hour to get down to where I fly, and so I haven't got round to it. So hopefully I'll be able to get out there at some point soon and maiden this new model. See how quick it is. So I thought I'd just do this video, show you the setup and show you the modifications and the little tips, and basically show you where it goes. I mean, if you want to have a look at the horns I'm using, I'm using the grey ones, and funny enough, I'll just grab yeah, those actual clevises, they fit perfectly on these grey control horns. Yeah, the holes are the right size, they fit perfectly, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, I've kind of overdid it a bit with these. These are metal clevises, and it's quite a thick rod. Yeah, I should have pointed that out sooner, but anyway, that's what I've done. So yeah, hopefully I'll get out and maiden this new wing and see how it goes. Right, see you then. Bye bye.